Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. How are you doing? I'm doing well. And we have a new Australian world champion. Ebony Bridges defeats Maria Roman of Argentina on a wide unanimous decision to become IBF Bantamweight champ. So, I think we all know about Ebony. She's the girl who's promoted herself brilliantly. Big fake comedy balloon boobs, hair extensions, very glam, lots of Instagram followers, wearing a thong at weigh-ins, all that stuff. Clearly a very good self-promoter, sex sells, and she's done the whole sex appeal thing very effectively. Question was, could she fight? She fought Shannon Courtenay and proved that, yes, she can fight. She's a very, very game girl. Big fat eye on her, massive swollen eye in the Courtenay fight. Didn't even think of quitting and gave Courtenay a real row. I thought Courtenay edged the fight, but, Ebony proved herself. But since then, she hadn't really done a lot because she scored a 3-round stoppage over Beck Connolly. And that's not bad. Stopping Beck is, Beck's a good journeywoman or gatekeeper, as she puts it. Stopping her in 3 rounds, that was a fair achievement. But then she had was it an 8-rounder? I think it was an 8-rounder with Marius Gangloff of France. And to be honest, Ebony struggled. And a lot of people thought Maris Malis, I think her name is Malis Gangloff, they thought that she'd won that fight. And I did too when I watched the fight, first of all. Then I watched it back and I thought it was a lot closer. And I thought you could have given it to Bridges by a point or two. But the point was, she struggled badly against Gangloff, who only had a 5-2 record. And Ebony seemed to gas in that fight after 8 rounds. Maybe she took it a little lightly, I don't know. But she shouldn't have taken Maria Roman lightly, because Maria, 39 years of age, without sounding too ungentlemanly, looks a bit older, I think. Maybe she's lying a little bit about her age. Come on, Maria, are you? Yes. Anyway, she'd been IBF Bantamweight champ for 5 years, and she'd lost 4 of her first 5 fights. She turned pro 11 years ago, but she, built herself up, got the world title fight back in 2017, won it, made, I can't remember, 5 or 6 defences. I think Bridges was her 6th defence. But interestingly, she lost a non-title fight in 2021 to a 3-0 girl, Melissa Parker, who I know nothing about. And she lost that, so for an established world champ to lose a non-title fight to a girl with only 3 fights, that's a very unusual result. And also, if you looked at Maria's record, of her 16 wins, none of them have come inside the distance, and all of her defeats, including the most recent one to Bridges, none of those have been inside the distance. So she's always heard the final bell, which indicates a good engine and a tough girl, but not much punch on her. So, what did we think of this fight? I thought Bridges would win on points. I thought she'd perhaps be a little bit too fresh, although she herself is 35, so no spring chicken, but less miles on the clock, 39 years of old at least for Maria. Maybe she's flagging a bit now. Maybe she's coming to the end of her career. You never know, do you, with these women's fighters, because they do get lots of opportunities because there is a dearth of talent. But I expected Bridges to outwork her and win a decision maybe in the 96-94 range. In fact, it was much wider. I made it 98-92. A couple of the judges had it 100-91, which, it's every round. Well, 9 rounds to Bridges, none to Maria, and 1 drawn. I thought that was a little bit unkind, but yeah, Bridges dominated this fight. And it was strange because Roman came out, stood right in front of Bridges, who appeared to be the physically more imposing, the bigger girl, thicker set legs. Maria stood in front of her, very high guard. It reminded me a little bit of, here the similarity ends, but it reminded me a bit of when Nigel Benn fought Michael Watson, and Watson came out against the ferocious, undefeated Benn and stood right in front of him with a very high guard, allowed him to draw. He allowed Nigel to use up his energy and was punching between the activity, between Ben's activity, between Ben's punches, and further sapping his energy. And I don't know whether Roman had that on her mind, whether she was going to try and draw Ebony's sting, but it's a dangerous game to play in women's boxing because the women in world title fights only do 10 2-minute rounds. So that's 20 minutes of fighting. Okay. Now, if you consider that a men's 6-rounder is 18 minutes of fighting, the women's world title fights in terms of distance are not that much more, only 2 minutes more. So I find the whole thing, I think that tactic, in a sense, give away the early rounds to draw the opponent's sting. If you're a woman fighter, even at elite level, very, very dangerous game to play. You haven't got a lot of time to get your work done. And if that was the intention, and after 5 rounds, even though I'd given Ebony all 5 of the first 5 rounds, she looked knackered on her stool. She was breathing heavily, whereas Maria Roman wasn't doing anything. She was just, like a walk in the park. And I expected in the second half of the fight, Maria to really put the heat on, even though she hasn't got much of a punch, to really drain Ebony's energy with, by not just standing in front of her and refusing to take a backward step, but going forwards, firing a multitude of punches. Well, she certainly did go forwards, and she threw more punches, but Ebony hung on and was, even in, I think for 3 of the last 5 rounds I gave them to Ebony, just on sheer work rate. So in modern parlance, you could say she wanted it more. And Maria, I think, will probably look back tomorrow and think, I should have done more. I should have worked more. I should have started quicker. 10 2-minute rounds is just not enough to play the long game, because it isn't a long game. It's 10 2-minute rounds is a short fight. What is it? A 6.5 rounder, effectively. But you deal with what you've got. You work with what you've got, and clearly Ebony deserved to win. Well done to her. Australia's new world champ. You've got some good potential rivals out there. Of course, there's a Shannon Courtenay rematch. Shannon hasn't got a belt at the moment. She was ringside doing commentary for DAZN. But the one I'd like to see Ebony in with is, I think she's the best bantamweight in the world, which is the young lady from America, Jamie the Miracle Mitchell. I think Mitchell, their styles would blend perfectly. Mitchell and Bridges, great fight that could be. And I really hope Eddie can put that one on the table. Got a feeling Courtenay might be matched with Mitchell before Ebony is, and then with a view to Courtenay perhaps beating Mitchell, and then they'll have a unification fight, Ebony and Shannon Courtenay. So it's exciting times, for women's bantamweight, the smaller ladies, women's bantamweight boxing. There's some good fights out there. What will Maria Roman do? Probably retire now, 39. She might have a few more fights. Good fighter, but she's going to look back tomorrow and think, I should have done so much more. And she should have done, really. Ebony outgutted her, outgunned her, and wanted it more. So anyway, what do you think of the fight? Did you see it? It's on DAZN. We've got Warrington versus Martinez, a rematch coming up for Martinez's IBF featherweight title. I'll do a video about that. Leave your comments below if you saw this fight. Thanks as always for all your time, for listening in. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, please. It only takes a second to hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Hit the like button. It always helps me out if you do. That helps the channel out. Much love to all of you. We'll speak again. Take care for now.